And I don't care where you're from. I don't care. If you tell me that you love football and you don't love Barcelona, you have a problem.
Take the ball, pass the ball, take the ball, pass the ball.
To play against Barcelona at that time, you just knew you had a bigger chance to lose than to win. Barcelona was just, eating everything on the table.
Throughout the history of all sports, the teams that win the most titles are those that are remembered as the best, despite whether their playing style is appealing or not. It is a universal law of life. Winners are remembered, losers are forgotten. However, there are a few cases where winning is combined with beauty and everything the fans have come to love within the sport. Usually when these elements are combined, GOAT status arises into the conversation. In football, a lot of the time the best teams are remembered for their achievements and their ability to win, regardless if their style of play is easy on the eye. However, from 2008 to 2009, FC Barcelona, coached by Pep Guardiola, managed to win for the first time in football history 6 titles in a calendar year with a style of play that has been renowned, reiterated and revered since it took control of the footballing world. To understand how this team was created, it is important to review the history of the Catalan club and the importance of an essential character in FC Barcelona, Johan Cruyff. The Dutchman came to the Spanish club as a player in 1973 and was the main promoter of the style of play practiced by his club. The legendary Ajax side of the 70s and the Dutch national team that were called the Clockwork Orange were the first teams to incorporate the ideology of total football, an idea that gradually became part of the Cruyff mentality. It is a basic concept. When you dominate the ball, you move well, you have what the opposition don't, and therefore they can't score. The person that moves decides where the ball goes, and if you move well, you can change the opponent's pressure into your advantage. The ball goes where you want it. As a manager, he arrived in Barcelona in 1988, forming the Dream Team and leading FC Barcelona to achieve their first Champions League, as well as 4 consecutive Spanish leagues between 1991 and 1994, in addition to other important titles. However, the highlight of that team was the way of playing that was reminiscent of the Clockwork Orange Dutch national side of 1974 to 1978. Very focused on offensive mentality, possession of the ball and constant mobility of players, all within a tactical scheme that varied between 3-4-3 and the formation 4-3-3. After Cruyff's successful tenure as manager of the club, FC Barcelona maintained a strong bond with Dutch football, and especially with the style of play Cruyff himself had proclaimed. Hence, there have since been other Dutch managers such as Louis van Gaal or Frank Rijkaard who also tried to implement that way of playing. From the mid-90s, where Cruyff left FC Barcelona, until 2008 Guardiola's arrival, the club's luck was quite uneven, going through moments of success such as during Ronaldinho's early years that led to winning the club's second UEFA Champions League in 2005 to 2006, as well as some not so great times such as playing in the UEFA Cup in the 2003 to 2004 season. For the beginning of the 2008-9 season, Barcelona was in a low moment of what was the end of Frank Rijkaard's time as manager with the Catalan club, due to the dominance of Barcelona's great rival Real Madrid, as well as a series of internal problems at Barca. The departure of the club's star player Ronaldinho was imminent as his prime as a footballer was fading, and he admittedly himself needed a new challenge to reinvigorate his spirit. It was a hard decision to make, as Ronaldinho at the time was the face of football, winning a Ballon d'Or at the club. The fans still adored him, but despite this, the decision was made anyway. At that point in 2008, President Joan Laporta, during his first term, made the decision to bet on the Barcelona B, Pep Guardiola, who had just achieved promotion of the academy to the second Division B, third tier of Spanish football, in his first year as manager, ahead of a seasoned Champions League winner Jose Mourinho, who was also interviewed and was considered the main target for the job if it was not for the intervention of Joan Laporta, who chose Guardiola ahead of Mourinho. The main reason for this was that Guardiola fit into the style of the club's footballing philosophy, whereas Mourinho, especially at that particular time in his career, was a very defensive, counter-attacking minded manager, almost anti-total football, which in turn pretty much is anti-Barcelona. However, Frank Rijkaard was playing the same style of total football philosophy Pep proposed, and it was clear the club needed something fresh, a step in a different direction. So why did they pick Pep? Joan saw something special in Guardiola and believed in his vision to take total football to the next level. In their meeting, Pep laid out his blueprint and his plans of bringing in players from the academy and a few key signings, boldly proclaiming, "With me, Barcelona will win everything." And with that, Guardiola was chosen instead of Mourinho. Just imagine how different things would have been if Mourinho was chosen in 2008. The decision to cut ties with Ronaldinho and Portuguese playmaker Deco was definitely one of the toughest decisions that Mourinho made in the beginning, as it involved selling two of the most important players of the Rijkaard era, and who still somewhat were in their prime, placing faith in younger, more inexperienced players, depending on them to reach their potential. The Brazilian star even made the final decision, claiming in an interview he did a few years ago. When Pep arrived in 2008, he asked to see me. I met with him and he said he wanted me in the team, to stay at the club, because he was counting on me. I appreciated it, but I knew that my cycle of Barcelona was over. This gave Guardiola the much needed opportunity to rebuild the team, adding new pieces to the squad such as Gerard Piqué and Dani Alves, changing the squad's dynamic in terms of who the most important players were, making Lionel Messi the main vocal point of the team and granting him the number 10. Xavi Hernandez and Andres Iniesta became the two maestros of the team and had Guardiola's full confidence, benefiting greatly from Pep's arrival. Laporta found in Pep a coach who had ideas that are reminiscent of those implemented by Cruyff in the 90s and were liked a lot by the supporters, so the bet to appoint Guardiola as the manager of the first team was fit into the identity of Barcelona. Guardiola, in addition to his ideas, brought with him some players from the academy he was coaching. A great example was Sergio Busquets, who to this day is a key player at the club. Busquets himself has given Guardiola a lot of credit for how his career turned out and credits him as the one who made the biggest differences in his growth as a player. When you're with Guardiola, you become a master in football. The crucial moment of my career was when Guardiola crossed my path. He gave me the chance. He had confidence in me. He made me part of the best Barca in history, in a team with great players, and I learned a lot to be a better player. He would prove to be an extremely important factor in Guardiola's midfield, complementing Xavi and Iniesta greatly, as three of them were supreme passers, possessed high football IQ, and were extremely technically gifted in order to compete against the best players in the world. It was a celebration of technical football of the highest caliber, and that midfield was perhaps the greatest representation of Pep's ideology and the greatest example of total football. Guardiola established a classic 4-3-3, very characteristic of Dutch football with certain nuances of his own. The game of possession of the ball proposed by the Spanish manager implied that they were going to play short passes, avoiding long passes, so the attacks began from the goalkeeper, something that today has become much more common. Rafa Marquez and Gerard Piqué used to alternate to join more offensive positions. In midfield, Busquets had a very important role by breaking up play in midfield and being in the correct position to combine with defenders, opening up the game by always playing the ball forward when he can. Iniesta and Xavi was the most advanced midfielders, often having the biggest degree of freedom to roam, attacking the spaces and overall providing a lot of creativity to the team. In addition to this, all midfielders were almost impossible to press and retrieve the ball from. They all had incredible ball control, enabling them to run circles around you, or they will play one touch and pass the ball rapidly, leaving you trapped between the players. Abilities that had been fine-tuned since these players were used as they all rose from Barcelona's youth program, La Masia. Guardiola also wants to be dominant. He wants to have the ball, strong possession, lots of attacking movements. It's ultimately about being proactive within the game, said Xavi in 2020. It's about skillfully attacking the opponent in a certain way. I've learnt a lot with Guardiola, from the way he is, the ambition he has, the desire and passion that he feels. He's a football-obsessed tactician, and it has been a pleasure to be around him. The wingers served as inside forwards, leaving space through the wings for the fullbacks, especially Brazilian Dani Alves on the right. That season, Guardiola introduced Messi as false nine in a Clásico against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu. The idea was for Messi to drop off in between the lines, freeing a defender who naturally will roam out of position to mark the forward. However, this freed space in behind for the wingers Eto'o and Henry to run behind him. It was a tactical masterstroke from Guardiola as Barcelona won the match 6-2 away from home. Playing Messi as a forward instead of on the wing allowed Messi's career trajectory to grow tremendously. He became an unstoppable force and a complete goal machine. It was due to this growth and the high amount of goals he scored that he managed to get his first Ballon d'Or, an award he went on to win 4 times in a row, a record-breaking feat. This is a key point in time and a key decision made by Guardiola, aiding in his ascendance as the best player in the world and Barcelona's most legendary number 10. Another aspect that played a big role in the club's success during this particular time, and one of the main ethos of Guardiola's philosophy, was the execution of pressing. Pep has always been a big believer of getting the ball back faster in order to not allow the opposition to have the time to get in proper shape again. This was something that was done by some teams in the past, especially Arrigo Sacchi's AC Milan side of the late 80s, but Pep really took that principle to the next level in top football, and a lot of different managers followed suit, becoming a staple of the modern game. It was called the 6-second rule, and it was focused on getting the ball back within the first 6 seconds that was lost in order to keep opposition on their toes, which was obviously very demanding and it required a lot of physicality and energy. This is why players like Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Yaya Toure, 2 of the best players in the last decade or so, were not fully able to adapt to Guardiola's tactics in Barcelona because they simply were not suited to intense pressing. It might sound easy, but I tell you, it's not easy because you know Pep is really ahead of his time, Spanish midfielder Xavi Alonso said about Guardiola in 2016. He is very demanding of himself and his players, but once you get to know it, I think that for myself is the way we like to play. We like to play with control, and he likes that. His pressing methods proved to be quite beneficial for the team on a defensive level as they managed to have greater hold of the ball, and that obviously meant that the opposition was not able to hurt Barcelona as they simply couldn't do anything without the ball. Plus, the team that tends to not have the ball during the game is the one that tends to get tired quicker as they have to work and chase to retrieve the ball. This is the main reason that Guardiola likes to have so much possession. It is one of the guiding principles that have defined his career and Barcelona's modern history. When you combine all these different factors, it is a lot more understandable why Barcelona was so successful in 2008 to 2009 season. Not only did they have a lot of players that were successful under Rijkaard and were able to provide a certain degree of experience, Puyol, Xavi, Iniesta, Marquez, Eto'o, amongst others, but they were also playing a brand of football that was innovative, somewhat ahead of its time, and it was executed by a crop of world-class players that were properly suited to play that style. Guardiola's tactics have become the blueprint for a lot of different managers, and it all started in this very season, where perhaps modern football as we know it, at least from a tactical perspective, the great merit of Barcelona was to consolidate the style of play and materialise it in the form of 6 titles in 1 year. The first was the Copa del Rey, in which they beat Athletic Bilbao in a final with a comfortable 4-1 result. Then they became champions of La Liga, in which they were crowned in advance, in a title where they won by a difference of 9 points. In the Champions League, they would beat Manchester United in the final 2-0 at Rome. At the beginning of the following season, the Spanish Super Cup was played against Athletic Bilbao, whom they would defeat 5-1 in aggregate. Shakhtar Donetsk was the rival in the UEFA Super Cup, who they would overcome from a goal by Pedro in extra time. Finally, the sextuple would be complete by defeating Estudiantes in the United Arab Emirates by 2-1, with another goal in extra time, this time by Messi. This reign lasted from 2008 to 2009, with Barcelona dominating domestic and European trophies, with possibly the best version of the team coming from the 2010-11 season. At this point, Barcelona was not only known as the greatest team in the world, but the greatest team of all time, with 10 of their starting 11 players rising from the Barcelona Academy, La Masia, truly encompassing the identity and footballing ideology of the club. Yeah, they didn't win the treble, narrowly losing out to Jose's Real Madrid in a 1-0 loss scored in extra time, but they secured a double, dominating absolutely everyone, losing only one game in the Champions League against Arsenal away in the first leg, who funnily enough have similar playing styles and philosophies to Barcelona, beating them at their own game. Barcelona did go through in the second leg at the Camp Nou, defeating the North London side 3-1 and winning 4-3 in aggregate in the quarter-finals. Then they went on to humiliate Real Madrid in the semi-finals, then dominate Manchester United in their own country at Wembley, capturing the club's 4th Champions League victory. Within 2008 to 2011, we witnessed a team who not only won everything there was to win, but won in the most beautiful and dominant way imaginable, completely overwhelming teams and providing them with no answer. Combining the results with the way this team made football fans around the world feel in their hearts, there is no doubt in my mind, and in most people's mind, that Pep Guardiola's Barcelona is the greatest football team of all time. This is Football Forever. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, please like and subscribe as it helps my channel to grow. I have more and more videos on the way for all the fans of football.